Hello and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Pep, and in this video we'll be learning the 2 to 4 player game Arcane Academy, designed by Eric Lang and Kevin Wilson and published by IDW Games. An ancient evil is stirring, and it is not sword, but sorcery which will defeat it. Players will gather at the Academy of Magical Studies in order to learn powerful spells and forge fantastic items. Do you have what it takes to become best in class? Join me at the table and let's learn how to play. To set up, first give each student a player board, called a slate, and a will dial set to 3. We're setting up for a 2-player game, so I'll return the unused dials and boards to the box. Give each player 3 of these shards and place the rest in the center of the table, along with these prestige and exhaustion tokens. Next, take these action tiles and place them in the cloth bag. Then shuffle and draw out 4, placing them face up in the center of the table. Keep the bag nearby as more tiles will be drawn during the game. Place this pencils down card off to the side, then shuffle these assignment cards into a face down pile. Deal 3 to each player and 4 face up in the center of the play area. Cards in a player's hand are considered private and are kept secret from their opponents. Finally, either allow the youngest student to be the first player or decide randomly, giving them this first player token. And that's the setup. Arcane Academy is played over a series of turns in which players will be gaining will and shards in order to complete assignments, all the while improving their slates in order to cast greater magic in the future. Gameplay begins with the first player. On your turn, you must either cast or rest. When casting, you will select a space on your slate containing an action and place an exhaustion token on it in order to activate its effect. If the space has a slash through it, you must choose which of the actions you wish to take, but the entire space will still be exhausted. Over the course of the game, you'll add new tiles to your slate, granting you more actions to perform. So let's take a look at the different effects that you'll find. This action allows you to collect 1 shard token from the supply. Similarly, this action grants you 1 will, which you track by adjusting your will dial. With this action, you can spend will or shards to complete assignments, either from your own hand or the center of the table. The cost of completing an assignment is shown here on the left-hand side. Assignments will grant you points at the end of the game in the form of prestige, shown in the bottom right-hand corner. Spells look like this and are paid for with will. Each has an effect which is applied immediately. Afterwards, the spell is slid under your slate so that only the point values are showing. Magical items, like this, are completed by spending shards and are placed face up in front of you. Some have effects which are ongoing or occur at the end of the game. Many have a usable ability shown by this symbol. From now on, each time this use item action is taken, you may choose one of your completed items with a usable ability and activate it. If this action is taken multiple times on the same turn, you may choose to activate the same item again. The Add Tile action allows you to choose one of the 4 available tiles in the center of the table and place it in front of you. At the end of your turn, you must place that tile onto a space on your slate, rotating it in any direction that you wish. You may even choose to cover up a previously placed tile, or one of the corner tiles printed on the board. However, you may never cover up your last complete assignment action. If you place a new tile on top of one that was exhausted, move the exhaustion token to the newly placed tile. The placement of new tiles is very important. You'll notice that many have these rounded connector markings. When casting, after taking the action listed on your chosen tile, you may also perform actions on any that are directly linked to it by connectors. So for example, if I were to activate this tile, I would also be able to activate these 2 tiles, as they have completed connector circles. Though these 2 tiles are also connected, you do not activate any tiles that are not directly adjacent to the first. This tile is not considered connected as it has only half a connector. And keep in mind, if a tile is already exhausted, it will not activate even if it is properly connected. That said, gaining actions from linked tiles does not exhaust them. Only the originally chosen tile receives a token. This is important because you cannot cast using a tile which is already exhausted, so linking tiles may allow you to use them multiple times in a row. The final action you may find on a tile is Chaos Magic. It is a wild action, which lets you choose any one of the other actions to cast in its place. On your turn, instead of casting, you can choose to rest, which removes all exhaustion tokens from your slate. At this time, you may also choose to discard one of your private assignment cards from your hand and draw a new one from the deck. Make sure to keep any discarded cards or tiles near the game area, as some effects may refer to these later. After resting or completing actions granted by casting, your turn ends. At that point, replace any cards or tiles that were removed from the center of the table so that the next player has 4 of each to choose from. If you completed any assignments from your hand, also draw until you have 3 cards. If you run out of tiles, continue playing as normal with no new tiles being drawn. If you run out of cards, however, the player who draws the final card will take the pencils down card that we set aside and trigger the end of the game, which we'll talk about later. Gameplay will proceed with the next player in clockwise order either casting or resting until one student has completed 8 assignments. At this point, they'll shout, "Pencils down!" and claim the card which was set aside earlier. Each player, including the one who took the pencils down, will now take one final turn. It's also important to note that any card effect that would grant an extra turn will still continue to do so. Now it's time to count up your points. Combine the point value of all your completed assignments along with any collected prestige tokens. Some assignments may provide additional points at the end of the game as well. The player with the most prestige points is declared valedictorian. In the event of a tie, the tied players combine their remaining will and shards and compare them. The player with the highest total becomes the winner. If still tied, the tied players are considered co-valedictorians. And that's everything you need to know to play Arcane Academy. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.